Hey, you guys, this entry of Thoughts of a Blog Queen podcast is being sponsored by our first official UGC sponsorship. UGC with Shytavia. She is a mom, a wife, a UGC content creator. She does gigs on Fiverr, Amazon, and she is an Amazon author. Come on, Shytavia. Listen, you guys, please connect with her for your UGC needs. If you are a brand, a small business, big business, any of the things, and you need some UGC content promotion, any of those types of things, I am going to have her information in the show notes. Please connect with her. She is an amazing content creator. She does morning meditation. She does home workouts. All of the things, self-care tips, just everything. She's an amazing person. Please check out the show notes to connect with her, you guys. All right, let's get this show started, you guys.
Let's do this.
It's showtime.
You're listening to the Thoughts of a Blog Queen podcast.
These are just my thoughts.
With your host, LaRae Renee.
A woman, her thoughts, and a mic.
Are you ready? Check this out.
Hey, y'all. Happy Self-Care Sunday. If you are listening to this on Sunday, let's get these levels right. I want to make sure you guys can hear me. How are you guys doing? Welcome back. Welcome to entry 41 of the solo series. We are 2 episodes deep into the solo series. I'm excited about that. You guys, this is another blog breakdown. You can see in the title, we are going to go through this blog. So if you're unfamiliar, please check the show notes. There is a blog that pairs along with this. And I am just going through this blog. I am just giving you everything that is in the blog, but a little bit more, just kind of giving you some context to this particular blog. So without further ado, let's go ahead and break this blog down. Let's get these levels together. I want to make sure you guys can hear me. How are you guys doing? It's Self-Care Sunday if you're listening to this on the day that it dropped. And hopefully you're getting yourself together, getting yourself prepared. You know what, you guys? I am really in a good space right now. My mood and my energy is getting really good because I have a vacation coming up soon. I am going on my very first solo trip, which I'm going to talk more about that. I don't know if I'll talk about that in this particular entry or not, but I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk about it. I am taking my very first solo trip, you guys. I'm a little bit nervous about it. Listen, the anxiety is on volume 4 right now, and I'm trying to keep it there or below. I'm trying not to turn that volume up on my anxiety, but listen, I'm getting it together, so I gotta get some things in order. I don't know, where do you guys think I'm going? I'm not gonna tell you yet, but I will fill you guys in on all of the details on where I'm gonna take my trip. And I probably won't do that until after I'm actually there or after I come back, but I am preparing. Or I don't know, if you're following me, you might get some content about this particular trip, but that's not what we're here about, right? We're here to talk about the signs. We're here to talk about all of the signs of what it may feel or look like when you need to go into your solo season. And you guys, if you did not check out entry 40, where we just talked about what the solo season is, and we kind of defined why you might want to go into one, all of the things, just kind of like our intro to the series, I would encourage you to go back and check that entry out. It also is a blog breakdown, so there is a blog that pairs with that as well. So if you go back, wherever you're listening to me from, Spotify, Apple, wherever you're tuning in from, check the show notes, or you can head over to my Instagram and you can find the links. But just check the show notes if you're tuning in on Apple, which is where the majority of my audience tunes in from. So I've recently found out. But check my bio. Check the links, you guys. Instagram, show notes, Thoughts of a Blog Queen on Instagram. There's a link in my bio, my TikTok, all of the links. You guys know how to connect with me, but yeah, there is a blog, Sharon Pink Promos. Check it out over there. But let's talk about, so if you are not fully caught up on the solo season, let's start by defining what your solo season is and what it looks like. Okay? You with me? You got your tea, you got your water. I got a big old gigantic cup of water. I gotta hydrate. So your solo season is an intentional period of time where you focus primarily, consistently, and unapologetically on yourself. It is the due diligence and inventory one must take on themselves in order to fully identify what areas of their own life they may need to nurture, they may need to fulfill, or focus their growth in. Right? So it's like, where am I depleted? Where am I falling short? What are the things, where do I need to put my attention? And sometimes you can't do that when you're on go, and you're not focused and you're just doing all of these things for other people and you got your hand in everything and you're doing all of these things and you're on the go and sometimes you just don't take enough time to really be to yourself. Or you reach pivotal moments in your life where it is time. It is time. This is an honest look at your life, you guys, and your well-being to determine where you could do some repairs or some restoration. We talk about self-care, right? Self-care has been a heavily saturated term and niche used, especially for the past few years, right? By so many different people. And I think that's a good thing because that's awareness, right? That means people are aware that self-care is important. Self-care is essential. My entire platform is built to promote self-care. Whether that is for your mind, whether that is for your physical body, or whether that is for your soul. This is the awareness that we must take care of ourselves before we can take care of anyone else, right? Y'all know that concept of you can't pour from an empty cup? That is perfect. That is the perfect little analogy, metaphor, whatever you want to call it, to use as you go into your solo season. It is essentially the reason why you might want to go into your solo season. Because you pour and you pour and you pour and you pour and you're not giving yourself, putting enough back into yourself. So how do I know it's time? How do you know it is time to go into a solo season? How do you know? I think there's two ways to answer this. One being anytime. Go into it anytime. If you went in one a year ago and you need to go into another one this year, go into another one. You understand? I'm just saying, like, it's anytime. This is an intentional season. Which means go into it whenever you want or feel the need to. It is about you. Your needs. You are entitled to this time, to this season. And you should be eager to maximize everything that you can gain from it. Okay? Another way to answer this question is to look at the signs. You got to look at the signs. Look at the signs of this time not being something that you want, like, you need. Look at the signs of a need. You need to go into your solo season. When I decided to go into mine, I needed to. I was hella stressed out. I needed that. I needed this. And I say this because I'm still here. And there are actually a variety of reasons why we should take this period to ourselves, but I want to just talk about some of the signs so that you will know if it should be sooner than later that you might need to go into this, right? Let's break these down. You might feel overwhelmed and overworked. So for obvious reasons, this is a huge telltale sign when life is lifing. You have an overwhelming feeling of stress and you feel as though you've been stuck in autopilot with little to no stops. Many of us reach a point where being mentally drained exceeds being physically drained. But then you can actually physically feel it. Do y'all ever know what that feels like? I talk about that often because I feel that often. So if you don't know, I do work. I still work in the corporate world. And I get mentally drained. I do. I really get mentally drained. And I think people have this misconception that, that if you work from home or you work remote or you get to do, I don't want to say get to do, but you're doing a lot of computer work and things like that all day, that it's just so easy, and that it is just, because you're not doing physical labor and all of that. But let me tell you something about that mental exhaustion. Mental exhaustion is a different kind of tired. It's a different kind of tired, and sometimes you really have to allow your brain, your mind, to decompress from the day that you've had. When you have just been doing a lot of mental work for the day. And you actually can feel it. There are times where I have to get off from work and I have to literally lay down, close my eyes. Like, I can't even have my eyes open. I need my eyes to be closed. Sometimes I'll use my heat compress on my eyes, and I just have to it's almost as if you have like this wet sponge, right? You take a sponge, and you know how the sponge is light and airy when you first have it and it's dry, but then when you put it under water and it starts to absorb all the water, it gets heavier and heavier and heavier, and it's just soaking full of water, and it's much heavier than it was when it was completely dry, right? And then in order to get all of that water out of that sponge, you got to squeeze that sponge. You got to squeeze it. And when you squeeze it, what happens? That water is coming out because it's just like the pressure of your hand squeezing it's draining all of that water out. That's how my brain feels sometimes, like that. I feel like I'm squeezing all of the work that I did out of my brain at 5:00. This is you know what I mean? So it's like that mental, that feeling of being mentally drained. This is from something that we do on a daily basis. So I'm just using work as an example. And depending on your position, you have this role to fill with your job, right? Let's talk about the people that are, and this still can even apply, even if you don't work corporate role in the corporate world, but you have your own business, you still have to run your business. Right? So you still have this role to fill. But if you're in the corporate world, like me, I'm just going to speak from experience, right? But if you're in the corporate field, you may feel or actually be told there's an expectation of you to be a high level performer, meaning you have a lot of responsibilities that you have to take care of. There are a lot of things that you have to do. You are a very important part of the functioning and the flow of the company. And so you have to show up and show out. Right? You do this and you do this every day because it is your responsibility. But we have to make sure that we are not doing this at the expense of our peace of mind. So when you want to go into a solo season, think about how you feel about your career. How does your career make you feel? How does each day end? Are you thriving in your position and you feel fulfilled? Or do you have feelings of stress and you kind of like dread starting the day? How does it make you feel? You have to really and the reason why I'm asking you about this is because our jobs, our careers, they are pretty much like, it's what we do most of our time. We spend a lot of our time there, right? Depending on how many hours you're putting in, it's a lot of your life going to your job. So you really need to make sure that you are in a position that you are, that it is worth you putting the effort into. I believe in hard work. I believe that when you are working a job, when you're in your career, you should give it 110%, no matter what it is, whether you are working for someone else, whether you are working for yourself, whether you are trying to build something, you should always put everything in it. When you are employed by a company, there should be some sort of, and I want to just, let me just say this, like sometimes we find ourselves in positions where we have to do what we have to do, right? And then some of us are actually blessed to be in a position that we actually do want to be in, that we do enjoy. which is great. That doesn't mean that the job is easy. Just because you enjoy working there, you appreciate having that job, you plan to stay at that job, it doesn't mean that the job is easy. Doesn't mean that you have only good days. You still have those days. Y'all know those days. But when you think about your career and the job that you're in right now, is this something that you want to change? Are you at the point where you want to change? Because if you do, it may be time for you to go into a solo season, because you might need to reflect on what's next for you. What does next look like? Do you want to change it? Is this something that you truly enjoy doing, or are you just sticking it out because it pays the bills? Because I want to tell you that sticking a job out because it pays the bills, I understand. I've been in that position. I'm not trying to tell anybody to get up and quit their jobs. I'm telling you to have a plan to figure out what your next could be, what your next step could be. Because if it's going to be something that you're going to be trying to do until you retire, until you're able to retire, listen, I really want you to be trying to find something that you can have a little bit of your peace of mind while you're doing it. Working a job, being in a career field and being absolutely miserable, that's not good. That is not good for the health. It's just not. So are you just sticking it out, or are you actively working towards changing those circumstances? Because feeling overwhelmed and not being able to fully grasp how to maneuver through it can leave you feeling drained. So it is with hope that choosing to go into your solo season, it will allow you to sort through the underlying emotions you're having and figure out the ways that you can still prioritize your self-care needs. Because if you're working this job and you're just stressed out all the time, until you can figure out what's next for you or what else you're going to do, we got to take care of the self-care. We got to make sure that we're trying to find ways to de-stress at the end of the day. We got to make sure that we're figuring out the way to leave work at work. Even if you work at home, we got to still make sure that you leave work at work. And that you're not carrying, because listen, I have been in a position with a job before that left me crying. At home crying. Like, why are you crying about your job at home? That's because it was not for me. And I was so grateful when I was able to get out of that position. Right? Another sign. What is another sign that it might be time for you to go into your solo season? This is because when you want to change the trajectory of your life. So if you just generally feel like your life lacks things that you need, if you have come into a self-awareness that the path you have been on is not truly fulfilling, something is missing. You need more and you want more for yourself. You have that epiphany that this just isn't working. This ain't it. This just ain't it. It's not working for me anymore, so what now? This could be an indicator that you have been living life for other things and possibly putting other people ahead of your own life. We do that often. This is something women do often. But it's natural for you to come to terms with the idea that it just isn't enough anymore and that life is too short to continue to let it pass by without experiencing more of it. Experiencing more of life. You will get to, it's like you will just snap, it's like the snap of a thing. You wake up one day and you realize like, this can't be it. This can't be it. So going into a season of solitude will allow you to be intentional about your focus. You can get back to you for a moment. Figure out the things that you want. You gotta change up. This just is not, I'm not being fulfilled. You will literally, I have felt this feeling where I have literally just had stopped mid whatever it was that I was doing and realized I could be doing so much more. And it gets me a little bit emotional right now. God. You realize that you could be doing a lot more, and that you have such great potential in you. You have such great potential that you know that you could be doing something else. You know that you could be doing more with yourself. You know that you're better than what you are doing at the moment. And you're just not living out the full potential of your life, or who you are supposed to be. Which leads me into the next sign. You want to focus on your life's purpose. This is another sign. Everybody's going to get to a point where you're trying to figure out, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? And sometimes you are extremely unclear about that. But this is in alignment with changing the trajectory of your life. Because when you're not clear on what you should be doing with your life, or what your purpose is, what you're really passionate about, and how those two things are connected, if those things are not clear to you, they're at a certain age, those things should be speaking loudly to you. By a certain age, and I will not put a number on it, but by a certain age in your life, you should be very, very clear on what you're passionate about and what your purpose is. And actively trying to connect those two. Remember, I told you guys a few entries back, there was a book, what was it? The 10 secrets to inner peace. And he said that almost anything that you are passionate about doing, you are able to build something from that. You are able to walk in your purpose with that, build something with that, and make a living with what you are passionate about if you really, truly hone in on that. So if you're not clear on what you're passionate about and what your purpose is in this world, a solo season will allow you to explore those things that you're passionate about. You center with yourself and find out what your heart's true desires are. Figuring out what type of imprint you will leave in this world. That's important. To leave this earth whenever it is your time to leave this earth, but to leave an imprint that is so amazing and that shows the passion that you put into it, that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. How do you want to shape your life? What career path do you want to take? What business do you want to build? What things are you exceptionally great at? What gifts do you have that you're just sitting on, sis? What do you want your next 10-year timeline to look like? What is it going to reflect? These are all questions that will allow you to create the image of your purpose if you will just allow yourself the uninterrupted time to do so. Keyword being uninterrupted time, which, hello, that is the solo season. That is what your solo season is for. Uninterrupted, intentional time for you. All right, y'all still with me? I'm moving through. I feel good about this. Let me take a little sip of this water. Another sign that it might be time for you to go into the solo season is when you're seeking clarity and answers. Listen, sis, sometimes the universe just needs you to sit still. It needs you to be still, sis. You're doing a lot. You're doing a lot. You're doing a lot with yourself. You listen. When it comes to like dating and things like that, and dealing with different men and different energies, you might be doing a lot. You might just need to sit still. Rest your mind, rest your body. Stop wondering about people. Just focus on you. The universe needs you to quiet your surroundings so you can quiet your mind and then it will guide you. You can't focus on certain things or figure out things that you need if you got so much stuff going on. So when I say quiet your surroundings, I just mean you gotta, like, some of the things that you keep entertaining, some of the same things that you keep dealing with, you you gotta let those things go. Filter out the bullshit. I said it. Filter it out. Yeah. Because when you're always on go mode, moving through life at such a fast pace because you have so much on your plate, you're going to miss some things, sis. You're going to miss some important things. You're going to miss some signs. Your higher power, you're going to miss hearing from whoever, God, the universe, whoever your higher power is. You're going to miss it. And you know what? Maybe you have already figured out what your purpose is. And you know exactly what you want to do. And maybe you're even doing it right now, right? But what if maybe some things aren't connecting, right? Maybe some things aren't connecting the way that you intended them to. Or maybe you have come to a crossroads with certain aspects of your life and you have developed an anxiety on what you need to do next. That could be the case too. You could have launched something and you're extremely passionate about it, but it's just not like, it just keeps missing the mark. Or it's not blowing up the way that you wanted it to blow up. The traffic isn't there. The clientele isn't there. The revenue isn't there. Whatever it is, it might, you know what I mean? It's just not quite what you expected it to be. And you're getting this anxiety about it. You're worried. You're stressed. You done put so much, you invested so much time, maybe resources, finances into this. And it's not connecting the way that you wanted it to connect, and you don't know what to do. But how can you figure that out? How can you figure that out if you're not taking the time to actually reflect on what you need to do? Because you can't do that, and you know what I mean? Like, you got to pick your struggle. This is a sign that you need a season of intentional clarity. And this may involve you trying out or getting back into some meditation. That might be what you need to do to kind of silence your surroundings and quiet your mind. If you haven't gotten into meditation, maybe you need to start. Start with an app. I don't know. Download an app, some meditation sounds. Try it out. Maybe you need to go back to church if that's your thing. Maybe you need to go to church solo. People have very profound moments in church. Maybe you need to listen to some inspirational messages to kind of, just get you there so that you can kind of, you know what I mean? Just kind of get you inspired. I have my own thoughts and opinions and ideas about church and things like that, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't help people. That doesn't mean that it doesn't allow people to connect the way that they need to connect. I have had some extremely profound moments being in church. Very emotional moments being in church. It's about what works for you. So maybe you might need to go at it alone a few times. During the week, go in a time that you don't normally go. Maybe you might want to finally think about taking therapy seriously. Try, you know what I mean? Try it. See what works. You can even start with maybe just trying like online therapy. They have the therapy that you don't have to be in person for. You can have FaceTime calls with therapists now. You can do therapy chat. It's the world is evolving. Going away for an extended vacation. Maybe that's something that you need to do. Getting out of your environment. We talked about that in the last entry. Which is whatever you need to do in order to get the answers that you need. Your solo season should be designed to do this. To seek clarity and get the answers. Another one, and this is one of them ones when you've been hurt, deeply hurt by something or someone. That could be another sign that it is time. When something changes, something hurts you, something has to change, there's no way around it, and you have to go into a healing journey. When I decided to go into, when I had to go into my healing journey, that was what made me extend the plan on my solo season. I went into a solo season in a relationship. Then my relationship had to come to an end, and I knew I had to extend my solo season. I needed an extension on it. It's the healing journey. This is such a very pivotal, it's a very pivotal time in your life, because after you've been caused what feels like an immeasurable amount of pain in your life at the hands of someone else, you are liable to go to a very dark place. Your emotions are fragile. Your mind can be confused. And your heart just hurts. The healing journey is a time where the solo season can be beneficial because you need a safe space to feel all of those feelings. You need to be able to cry as much as you want to cry. You need to be able to just be in that space in that moment. You need time to work on yourself and sort through your emotions. Listen, when you have been hurt by someone, you may go to a place in your mind that shapes how you will see yourself and how you see others, and that can be very detrimental to your future and the future of your relationships. Broken trust. Broken trust can be very damaging to us if we don't properly nurture our feelings during this time. It could cause us to have some very negative experiences and outlooks on life. Like the way that life looks for us going forward, it can cause us to carry things into our future that we don't actually need. Like carrying the burden of someone else's choices. Like when someone betrays you, that's not supposed to be your burden to carry, but because we are human, we feel the impact of it because it was done to us, right? So we are immediately affected, of course. But if we don't allow ourselves to properly heal from that, we will run the risk of possibly hurting others, right? Because hurt people, what? They hurt people. And we can hurt them with not just our actions, but with our words, with our doubt in them, or with our inability to understand who they are because all we can see is someone else. You guys, listen, sis, healing is not linear. I know you guys have seen that. You've seen that. Healing is not linear. So what that means is that it doesn't look a certain type of way. It doesn't have to have a time frame on it. You can't just force yourself to be healed at the end of 30 days. Like, okay, it's June. I need to be healed by the end of July because no, that's not how it works. You gotta let the healing journey do what it wants to do. The healing journey is going to be like a roller coaster ride that you're on. And you just gotta put your hands up in the air and just experience that roller coaster ride. Cause it's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly. And it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be a beautiful mess is what it's going to be. Because I say a beautiful mess because it is in the end of it, it is serving a purpose. It is healing you, but it is a mess. And when I say that it is a mess, I mean that the emotions are everywhere. You might make some rash decisions. You might do some things that you will later on regret. You might cry a lot. You might lash out. You might be angry. You might go through a slight period of depression. You know what I mean? You may have this negative outlook, this negative attitude. You may, and on the opposite of that, you may not. You may long for something even more because you were hurt. But you can't force the timeline on a healing journey. You have to actively work on it. If within your healing journey, you have to find moments of peace in your healing. Find joy in your healing. Find relief in your healing. You need to be able to grasp understanding in your healing journey. And you need to capture some of the reflection in your healing journey. You are going to have to embrace the lessons, and hopefully, sis, you will find the blessings. I didn't mean for that to sound cliche, but it is true. When you're healing, when you're on your healing journey, being in a solo season is beneficial because you got to find those red flags that you may have missed. And you got to find those red flags so that you can pinpoint it. Okay, this was a red flag. This was, you know what I mean? And then you can pinpoint it, and then you can learn how to build boundaries for yourself, but do it in a healthy way. Not a way that just shuts down and shuts your heart down to the world and you're never open to anything else again or to experience anything else again. No, but set boundaries in a healthy way. We got to learn how to do that. That's one of the things that I can definitely say I gained out of my healing journey. I gained being able to set healthy boundaries, and I have watched myself set those boundaries. Like I've watched myself put them to use. And I felt so good about it. I was like, damn, like I wasn't doing that. Like, oh shit, like I wasn't doing that before. And it feels good when you do it. When you see yourself growing, it feels so good because you're like, dang, like I should have did this. This is what I should have did. You have to learn how to identify how you were hurt and how you can now nurture your self-love and your self-value in order to overcome that pain. So going into a season of solitude during your healing process is both important and necessary for your growth through that time. You need that time and space alone because I want you to unapologetically feel those feels. When I started my healing journey, listen, I was crying on cue. And it hurt so bad. You guys ever heard that? Feel like it hurt? No, it hurt so good. It hurt like hell, but I don't know. I don't know how to describe that. But it was like every time I cried, I released. And I'm not even 100% healed at the moment. I don't think. I don't know when I'm going to be healed. That's why I don't like to, I really, when I talk about this in whatever environment that I'm in and I'm speaking about the healing journey, I always just like to put that out there. Like, I don't like to feel like, I don't want anybody to feel like, any woman, anybody really to feel like they have to be completely healed. Like, there's a difference between being completely healed or, you know, if you're just taking a whole bunch of baggage and you just have actively not worked on anything, that's one thing. But when you know you have come to a certain point, like, it's like, you know, when we're talking about relationships, like, you know, when like you should begin to be open to the idea and when you just shouldn't. Because you got to be tested in those things. So, you know, feel those things. So let's talk about what the solo season is and is not. Just for clarity. because I don't want anybody to get confused on what I'm trying to say the solo season is. Remember that your solo season, we talked about this last entry, is custom made. So it is important to understand that it will be what you need and make it out to be. But it doesn't necessarily have to be about isolation and closing yourself off from the rest of the world. Solitude and isolation can be two different perspectives if you're clear on what they mean to you. I touched on this a little bit in the last entry, but I said I would come back to it because I want to make sure that you guys know that I am not trying to promote you isolating yourself from the world, not in a unhealthy way. I am telling you that going into a solo season is the focus on you. It is the self-care, like the platinum package of self-care is what I would like to call it. It is like it's your time. But it may involve it's you. How can I put this? You don't have to isolate yourself from friends and family, but you do need to be okay with separating from them at certain periods and during certain times so that you can see what you need to see, feel what you need to feel, gain what you need to gain, without having the input, the judgment, the 2 cents, whatever you want to call it, from anybody else. And it is not a time where you have to necessarily be single. That's an important piece to understand too. In fact, ladies, for my ladies that are in relationships, women that have been in long-term relationships and are at a point where they need to evaluate whether or not that relationship is still serving them, could benefit highly from going into their solo season because it forces you to reflect more on what the relationship gives and does for you versus what you've been giving to the relationship, right? Because sometimes we're giving too much and we see that. And then we just wait until so much time has gone by or we're just not clear. We're confused. We developed an attachment, so we don't really know what to do. Or on the contrary to that, because, like I said, sometimes accountability, ladies, sometimes it's what we need to do. It's what you yourself may need to work more towards to add value to that relationship as the individual that you are. So if you're being real with yourself and you have self-awareness and you're taking accountability, there may be areas of your relationship, your marriage, whatever it is that you're in, where you fall short, where you can add some value. A season of solitude doesn't have to be about refusing to see or talk to anybody else. It doesn't mean that you can't spend time with anyone. And it doesn't mean that your life as you know it should exclude everyone from your world. But you just understand that taking some time to yourself is okay. And you can do that guilt-free. It just means that during this time, you are going to intentionally change the flow of how things have been moving to focus on yourself, your needs, your well-being, your self-care, your self-love, your choices, and the path you choose to take. It's about gaining more than it is about separating, honestly. You will gain insight and inspiration. You will gain an appreciation for yourself and understand what areas of your life need your attention. It's about being intentional about filling up your own picture so that you have the ability to pour into other cups when you can. Because we're not a cup, we're a whole picture. We're the whole damn picture. We're not just a cup. No, we fill cups. So what do you fill the cups with? You fill cups with a pitcher. You are a pitcher, sis. A pitcher holds more than a cup. I want to be filled like a pitcher. For myself first, though. I want to be fulfilled in all the ways that I need to be fulfilled for my life. I want the happiness that I deserve in my life. Your solo season is about creating and designing. Creating moments of focus so that you can design your life's portrait. Creating moments of focus so that you can design your life's portrait. So here is a self-reflection question that I have. If you had to imagine what your life would look like in one portrait, that you would hang on a wall and look at for years and years and years to come, what your life would look like in one portrait, what would it look like? What would that portrait look like? So I tell you what, if you don't know, if you are unsure or unclear about what your life's portrait hanging on the wall would look like, and you need time to figure that out, it's time for your solo season. Okay? So let me give you something to remember. This is not a time to feel guilty about going into this period. Again, this is an unapologetic and an intentional time of your life. And the reality is that if we go through life, if we go through our adult lives without taking these periodic self-check-ins, we are liable to miss monumental moments of clarity and the increased opportunities for growth. Okay? So, that is the blog breakdown. I hope that you guys connected with it. And the one thing that I wanted to save until the end, you guys, we are doing I take a moment, what I like to call a moment of me pouring into you. And I told you guys that through the solo series, we were going to do a passage from A Dose of Self-Love by Cosmic Byron. This book, I recently got this book and I've been skimming through it, and I actually adore this book. And I got a chance to check out his Instagram page, and go check out Cosmic Brian's Instagram page. He is the inner child advocate, is what it says in his bio, but he has a lot of thought-provoking things. And this book that I have been skimming through, it is called A Dose of Self-Love. So I just wanted to be able to share that with you guys. And so y'all know the routine. Let me pour into you, and then we are going to, let me see, do I have any announcements that I wanted to share with you guys before? No, check the show notes for any of the important announcements. I think I covered everything, but let's go ahead and get this dose of self-love in. Okay, so here we go, you guys. Sitting with the perceptual self won't always download into love and light. Sometimes isolation requires reaching a depth where light doesn't appear to penetrate. The deeper the exploration, the clearer it becomes that light and dark simply aren't opposed, but actually one in the same. I thought that was perfect for the solo series. Let me read that again in case you missed it. Sitting with the perceptual self won't always download into love and light. Sometimes isolation requires reaching a depth where light doesn't appear to penetrate. The deeper the exploration, the clearer it becomes that dark and light simply aren't opposed, but actually one and the same. He's telling you that sometimes you got to go deeper. You got to go to the places where the light might not be, but that doesn't mean that you are not the light. And he is saying that through your exploration, you will discover that light and dark are not opposed. They're actually one and the same. And that made me think about a lamp. Y'all know I always got to have a damn analogy for y'all, but it makes it makes sense. Think about a lamp. Think about just a lamp, right? A lamp that doesn't have a bulb, doesn't have a shade. It's just a lamp sitting there, right? A lamp is still a lamp. But when you screw that light bulb into the lamp, what happens? You now have light. It is still a lamp. It still provides light. When you put the shade on that bulb, what happens? The light dims, but it is still light there. You can still see it still shines. It is still bright. It just has a shade over it. It has been dimmed, right? Follow me. What happens when that bulb blows out? When the bulb blows out, it is dark. But it does not change the fact that it is still a lamp that can still provide light. All it takes is for you to change the bulb. And when you change the bulb and turn the light back on, what happens? There is light. Just because it got dark for a minute doesn't mean that it is not a lamp that provides light. Doesn't mean that what it is supposed to do, it cannot do just because that particular lamp that was put in that bulb that was put in that lamp, just because that one blew out doesn't mean that you cannot change it and put another bulb in. Doesn't change the fact that you are still that lamp, sis. I crack myself up because I'm always coming up with this random thought, but it is true, right? And that is what he is saying. He is saying that the deeper the exploration, the clearer it becomes that light and dark simply aren't opposed, but actually one and the same. So even when that light bulb blows out in that lamp, it's still like, what changed about it? Does the name change? Does the title of it change? Does the purpose of it change? No, because guess what? All you're going to go do is you're going to go find another bulb to put in. And guess what? You may even find a bulb that is even brighter than the one you had before. Are y'all following me? Like, do y'all feel where I'm coming from with this? Because I'm trying to pour. I am trying to pour into you guys. Y'all don't laugh at me because I be dead serious with my analogies that y'all know y'all make it. Y'all get me. I need y'all to understand what I'm trying to say. But what I'm just trying to say, I laugh, I joke with myself about this a lot. But what I'm really just want you guys to understand is that when you're in your solo season, things might be dark. They might feel dark. They might look dark. But never question your worth. Never question your value. Never question who you are. You are still who you are. You are still the same person. You are just in a different season right now, and you are trying to work on some things in your life, and it doesn't change what your purpose is. Me being in my healing journey doesn't change that my purpose in this life, in this world, is to share my voice with my community. It doesn't change. No matter what somebody does to me, no matter how somebody let me down, no matter how bad I've been hurt, no matter how many friends I lose in the process, no matter how many times I feel like family let me down, no matter how many times work pisses me off, no matter how many times I've failed at relationships, it doesn't change my purpose. It doesn't change my light. I am who I am. I have a purpose. So, my beautiful, beautiful, beautiful people, happy Self-Care Sunday. I hope you guys enjoyed this entry. I hope that you gained something from it. I appreciate your time. You could have been doing anything and been anywhere, but you are giving this time to my platform, and I appreciate it. Shout out to my sponsors. Shout out to my community. Shout out to the individuals that slide into my DMs on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and just pour into me and uplift me and cheer me on. Shout out to all of you. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you guys back here for entry 42. Until next time, you guys, peace and blessings.
Let's do this.
It's showtime. You're listening to the Thoughts of a Blog Queen podcast.
These are just my thoughts.
With your host, LaRae Renee.
A woman, her thoughts, and a mic.
Are you ready?